Ever seen one of those viral videos? You know, the kind that feels a little too good to be true. We're gonna dive into one of those today.
Okay.
It's a video of astronaut Sunita Williams returning to Earth and, well, has everyone talking, but not for the right reasons. You see, this video, it shows Sunita's, triumphant return after 127 days in space. And at first glance, it seems like it's breaking news, but, well, here's the thing. It's not. It's actually over a decade old from an old mission.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out how this blast from the past became everyone's current obsession, and more importantly, like, what is really going on with Sunita Williams right now?
Yeah, the truth is, it's way more interesting. Sunita's, her current adventure actually is a really interesting twist to it. It's kind of a race against time and give us a little peek into the future of space travel, which is, well, it's a lot more complicated than any of us could have predicted.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Sunita, she launched aboard Boeing's Starliner spacecraft back in June, right?
Yeah.
With fellow astronaut Barry Wilmore.
That's right.
And it was just supposed to be a routine 10-day mission to the International Space Station.
Right, but there's a really important detail that you left out there.
Okay.
It was way more than a routine trip to the ISS.
Okay.
This was a critical test flight for Boeing.
Oh, okay.
Part of NASA's Commercial Crew Program. So, think of it like the final exam before Boeing gets the green light to become like the regular taxi service to space for astronauts.
So the pressure was on?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The success of this mission, it was really make or break for Boeing. It was showing their ability to get those astronauts to and from the ISS safely and reliably.
But space travel, it's full of curveballs, right? So what happened?
Imagine this, okay. So you are hundreds of miles above Earth. You're flying through space at thousands of miles an hour.
Okay.
And suddenly, you spring a helium leak. Not exactly an easy thing to fix.
No, not at all. Okay, so helium leak. For those of us who, didn't go to space camp, why is helium so important for spacecraft?
Okay, so it's all about fuel, basically. Helium, it's what they use to pressurize all those fuel tanks. And what that does is it ensures a really smooth, controlled flow of propellant to the engines.
Okay. Right.
So it's basically, it's the lifeblood of that spacecraft's propulsion system.
And if it leaks, that throws a wrench in the whole system.
Major wrench in the system. And it wasn't just the helium leak either.
Oh,
they had some issues with the Starliner's control thrusters.
Oh, okay.
And those are essential for maneuvering that thing.
Right.
So they had a bunch of problems.
What could NASA even do with all those technical issues?
They were in a tough spot. They had to bring the Starliner back with the astronauts on board, knowing the risks involved with that, or they had to figure out a different way.
Right.
But they knew safety had to come first, you know.
Yeah.
So they made this really tough call. But they decided to bring that Starliner back down to Earth without its passengers.
Wow, that is a plot twist. I think that's where I would panic a little.
Yeah.
Stranded in Space was not in the brochure. I mean, I can't imagine Sunita Williams and Barry Wilmore or anything like us. They're pros, right?
Yeah, they're total pros.
Yeah.
Especially Sunita Williams. She's had a really remarkable career.
Right.
She's an Indian origin American astronaut.
Right.
And she's been on 3 space missions already. She's spent a combined 322 days up in space.
Wow, 322 days. That's longer than some people work in their entire careers.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And in all that time, she's become really well known for setting records on her spacewalks. She's one of NASA's most experienced astronauts. So, if anyone can handle an extended stay in space unplanned, it's Sunita Williams.
Yeah, you mentioned the spacewalks, and that's something that I think, from down here on Earth, we tend to romanticize.
Right.
But those are dangerous.
They're incredibly dangerous.
Those are very serious maneuvers.
Oh, yeah. Every single one. Meticulously planned,
Yeah.
special equipment, nerves of steel. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that she's so great in those situations just shows how much resilience she has,
Yeah.
how skilled she is.
And what about Barry Wilmore?
So Barry Wilmore, he's no stranger to space either. He's a retired Navy captain,
Okay.
and he's done 2 space flights. So he's clocked 178 days in space.
So together, they're very experienced
Right.
to deal with this unplanned extension.
Yeah, exactly. They're total pros. They know what they're doing. They're up there adapting to the situation.
Right.
They're staying focused on their tasks. They're collecting all this valuable data for NASA.
I do have to wonder, though, what are they doing up there on the ISS with all this extra time? besides waiting to come home?
Well, even under normal circumstances, life on the ISS is not exactly boring.
Right.
They're constantly doing experiments, maintaining the station. They have to exercise, to combat those effects of microgravity.
Right.
And, they're staying in contact with mission control.
Yeah, it can't be easy. I mean, knowing that your return is delayed, though.
Yeah, I'm sure it has its challenges logistically, mentally, But all reports say that morale is high up there.
Okay, good.
They're making the most of a very unique situation, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They're continuing to contribute to science and to space exploration. It's really pretty incredible, given the circumstances.
How are they getting home?
Yeah.
And when?
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
NASA decided not to wait for Boeing to fix all the Starliner issues. They chose a different route.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're going with another big name in commercial space travel.
Yeah.
Like SpaceX.
SpaceX.
Yeah. Sunita and Barry are going to be hitching a ride back to Earth on SpaceX's Dragon capsule sometime early next year, 2025.
So they're not going to wait for Boeing to figure everything out with Starliner.
Nope.
They're just going to go with SpaceX. That's significant.
Well, it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show how much the landscapes of space travel is changing.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Commercial Crew Program, and this really underscores how important it is.
Right.
NASA is really, depending on these partnerships, they're showing a level of trust and collaboration that I don't even think they could have imagined this just a couple of years ago.
It's funny how that viral video is like making the rounds. And it's like we're in two different universes. Everyone's sharing this old clip. But meanwhile, the real story is actually like way cooler. It shows how far space exploration has come. We've got private companies like acting as space taxis now. SpaceX.
Yeah, it's wild. It's really ironic in a way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this mission was supposed to be what, like a quick test flight, 10 days?
Yeah.
But it's really shown us the future of space travel.
Yeah.
And all by accident.
It makes you think about like the bigger picture. We talk about pushing those boundaries, exploring space. But even with all this stuff we have, all this technology, space travel is still unpredictable.
Oh, absolutely. And Sunita and Barry are a perfect example.
Right.
They had everything planned out, 10 days in and out, and then suddenly they got to stay up there. Who knows how long? And I think it just shows us that when you go out there beyond Earth, things aren't always going to go according to plan.
Yeah, that's a good point. It kind of brings us back to that final thought, that question we always like to leave our listeners with. This unexpected turn of events, what does it tell us about the future of space exploration? What happens when we set our sights on, the moon or Mars? How do we prepare for the unpredictable when it comes to space travel? The unknown is out there. It's full of challenges. It's full of wonders. And sometimes it takes an unexpected detour to really appreciate how far we've come and how far we still have to go.